My wife and I had shared 7 years of marriage, and as our anniversary approached in April of 2020, I couldn't help but feel a sense of contentment. We decided to celebrate the occasion at home, surrounded by our children, engaging in board games, and relishing the simple joys of family life. It was a beautiful moment that reaffirmed my belief that I was truly blessed. Reflecting on the past, I remembered how, 4 years earlier, my wife had expressed her desire to become a stay-at-home wife. At the time, I welcomed the decision, appreciating the comfort of returning home to a meticulously clean house and having meals prepared for me and the kids every day. It became routine, and I grew accustomed to the stability it brought to our lives. However, on the eve of our 7th anniversary, our tranquil domesticity was interrupted by an unexpected conversation. As we lounged in our bedroom, enjoying a glass of wine and reminiscing about the carefree days before parenthood, my wife posed a question that caught me off guard. She asked me to identify a negative aspect of our marriage. Initially, I struggled to find fault, as our relationship had always felt harmonious to me. Yet, under her persistent prodding, I reluctantly voiced my concern about her tendency to spoil our children with excessive treats and sugary snacks. It was a minor grievance, but one that I hoped she would understand. However, her inquiry didn't end there. She shifted the discussion to our sex life, expressing a desire for greater intimacy and connection. I empathized with her longing but explained that my demanding work schedule often left me physically and emotionally drained, making it difficult to meet her needs. Then came the bombshell. She broached the subject of an open marriage, suggesting that it could inject excitement into our relationship. Shocked and dismayed, I vehemently rejected the idea, asserting that I valued fidelity and commitment above all else. The thought of sharing my wife with others filled me with a sense of betrayal and resentment. In that moment, I made a decision. I told her that if an open marriage was what she truly desired, then perhaps divorce was the best option for us. It was a painful admission, but one that I felt was necessary to preserve my sense of dignity and self-respect. Despite her initial insistence, my wife quickly backpedaled, expressing remorse and a desire to salvage our marriage. But the damage had been done, and I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal that lingered in the air. As I retired to bed that night, my mind raced with conflicting emotions. On one hand, I felt a profound sadness at the prospect of ending a relationship that had defined so much of my adult life. Yet, on the other hand, I couldn't ignore the sense of disillusionment and disappointment that had taken root in my heart. The following morning, as the sun began to rise, I knew that a decision had to be made. With a heavy heart, I resolved to seek a divorce, determined to reclaim my sense of agency and self-worth. And as I watched my wife go about her morning routine, unaware of the turmoil brewing within me, I couldn't help but wonder what the future held in store. When I woke up to the smell of breakfast and coffee, I found my wife in the kitchen, tears streaming down her face. Puzzled, I asked her what was wrong, but she simply hugged me tightly, apologizing profusely and begging me not to leave her. She admitted her mistake in suggesting an open marriage, expressing her fear of losing me. After she finished cooking, we shared a tender moment, reconnecting intimately. Later that day, as she left to drop off the kids at my sister's and run errands for her mother, I couldn't shake off the unease caused by her earlier confession. The idea of an open marriage had unsettled me deeply, stirring up doubts about our relationship. Despite my commitments at work, I realized I needed to address our marital issues. Deciding to prioritize our marriage, I took the afternoon off and made plans to woo her back. Perhaps, I thought, by injecting some excitement into our routine and showing her more attention, we could overcome this rough patch. Admittedly, my dedication to work had sometimes overshadowed our relationship, but I was determined to make amends. Stopping by Whole Foods to pick up ingredients for a special dinner, I envisioned a romantic evening with just the two of us. With the kids safely at my sister's, I prepared a sumptuous meal, complete with wine and candles, eager to show my commitment to salvaging our marriage. Despite my hurt and confusion, my love for my wife remained steadfast, and I was willing to fight for our relationship with every fiber of my being. I returned home after splurging on groceries and wine, spending more than $300. Along with the essentials, I ended up picking up a few extra items for the house. As I pulled into the driveway, I noticed the garage door was open, which struck me as odd since I distinctly remembered closing it before leaving in the morning. Seeing my wife's car in the garage, I assumed she must have left with her mother or her mother had come to pick her up. Carrying all the bags in one trip, a habit of mine, I entered the garage and set the groceries down. Just as I straightened up, I heard unmistakable sounds coming from upstairs, moans and clapping. My heart raced as I recognized my wife's voice amid the commotion. Rushing upstairs, I traced the noise to our bedroom, where I was met with a sight that shattered my world. There, on our bed, was a scene of betrayal. Some guy was on top of my wife, her legs raised in the air, and the realization hit me like a freight train. This was how she got injured. This was why she needed medical bills covered. Fueled by a mix of disbelief and rage, I charged at the intruder and tackled him off my wife. In the chaos that ensued, my wife was injured badly, requiring immediate surgery. While she cried out in pain, I unleashed my fury on the man who had violated our sanctity. He fled eventually, leaving me to deal with the aftermath. Amidst the blood and anguish, I called for an ambulance, then the authorities, recounting the harrowing ordeal. But to my utter shock, my wife, of 7 years no less, betrayed me once more. She accused me of attacking her, omitting the truth about her infidelity. I couldn't comprehend her betrayal. As a result, I found myself spending a Friday afternoon in jail, a place I never imagined I'd end up. Sitting amongst strangers in the cell, my only solace was the hope of making a phone call to my sister, my confidant, my rock. In the aftermath of the harrowing ordeal that unfolded before me, I found myself grappling with a torrent of emotions, each more tumultuous than the last. From the initial shock of discovering my wife's infidelity to the overwhelming sense of betrayal that followed, I was thrust into a maelstrom of uncertainty and despair. As I languished in the confines of a jail cell, falsely accused of crimes I did not commit, I felt a profound sense of injustice weighing heavily upon my shoulders. The indignity of being labeled a perpetrator of domestic violence gnawed at my soul, threatening to engulf me in a sea of despair. Yet, amidst the darkness that threatened to consume me, a flicker of hope emerged in the form of unwavering support from my sister. Her steadfast belief in my innocence served as a beacon of light in the darkest of times, offering solace amidst the storm. With her guidance and the guidance of legal counsel, I embarked on a quest for truth and redemption, determined to clear my name and reclaim my shattered dignity. From navigating the intricacies of the legal system to confronting the painful realities of betrayal, every step forward was fraught with uncertainty and peril. But I refused to be daunted by the daunting challenges that lay ahead. Armed with the truth and bolstered by the unwavering support of my loved ones, I forged ahead, resolute in my determination to seek justice and vindication. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, as the wheels of justice ground slowly forward. With each passing day, new revelations came to light, exposing the depths of my wife's deception and the extent of her betrayal. Yet, through it all, I remained steadfast in my pursuit of truth, unwavering in my commitment to uphold my integrity and honor. And then, at long last, the moment of reckoning arrived. In a courtroom fraught with tension and emotion, the truth emerged triumphant, casting aside the shadow of doubt and vindicating my innocence. The charges against me were dropped, and my name was cleared of the false accusations that had threatened to tarnish my reputation irreparably. As I emerged from the crucible of adversity, battered but unbowed, I found solace in the knowledge that justice had prevailed. Though scars from the ordeal may linger, I take comfort in the belief that truth will always triumph over deceit, and light will always prevail over darkness. I made sure to hand over the footage to the authorities, hoping it would shed some light on the truth of what transpired. While the presence of an intruder in my home was evident, it wasn't sufficient evidence to vindicate me entirely. However, the individual who came forward to confess his involvement provided a crucial piece of the puzzle. His honesty and remorse for engaging with a married woman, coupled with his refusal to press charges against me, significantly bolstered my case. As the divorce proceedings unfolded, my lawyer skillfully dissected my wife's deceitful actions. With each probing question, her facade of innocence crumbled, leaving her defenseless against the mounting evidence of her infidelity and false accusations. Despite her demands for spousal and child support, I stood my ground, fighting for equal custody of our children. While the battle for spousal support was a tough one, I ultimately conceded to a 1-year term, granting her time to secure employment. However, her insistence on lifetime spousal support was met with firm resistance, as it was clear that such a demand was unreasonable and unjustifiable. Despite the fairness of our custody arrangement and my continued financial support, my ex-wife's resentment and entitlement persisted. Her refusal to acknowledge my contributions and relentless pursuit of financial aid painted a stark picture of her priorities. Even after securing a job as a receptionist at a prestigious car dealership, her dissatisfaction with her financial situation persisted. Instead of acknowledging her own responsibilities, she continued to lean on me for support, disregarding the financial strain it placed on me. Her reluctance to shoulder her share of the burden, coupled with her incessant demands, left me feeling frustrated and disillusioned. In the end, while the legal battles may have concluded, the emotional toll of navigating a tumultuous divorce lingered. Despite my efforts to uphold my integrity and provide for our children, the bitterness and resentment from my ex-wife continued to cast a shadow over our interactions. Yet, amidst the turmoil, I remained steadfast in my commitment to moving forward and rebuilding my life on my own terms. She remained steadfast in her conviction that she shouldn't bear any financial burden for the children, insisting that I foot the bill for their needs. One evening, she called me, demanding that I buy pizza for the kids because she claimed she couldn't afford it. After hanging up, my oldest child reached out to reassure me that everything was fine. He explained that their mom didn't feel like cooking, but he was perfectly capable of preparing a meal for himself and his siblings using the air fryer. Despite his resourcefulness, she frequently called, claiming she was short on money for groceries, almost as if she was attempting to indirectly shift the financial responsibility onto me, especially since she couldn't secure child support and alimony from me. Yes, I did pursue full custody of my kids, but unfortunately, it didn't materialize despite the assurance from my lawyer that I had a strong case. It became evident as the case progressed that winning custody was an uphill battle, one I ultimately lost despite the substantial investment in legal fees. Moreover, she filed a lawsuit against me for her medical bills, which the court ruled in her favor, leaving me responsible for over $12,000. While she attempted to claim more, the judge only granted what was due for medical expenses, which I promptly paid. Additionally, she attempted to compel me to cover her attorney's fees for the divorce proceedings, which was an added financial blow. Despite all this, she continues to harbor resentment, accusing me of assaulting her and causing irreversible harm. While I never intended to cause her any harm, I did feel compelled to intervene when I discovered her infidelity. The situation has left me in a precarious financial and emotional state, grappling with the aftermath of a tumultuous divorce and legal battles, all while trying to maintain a sense of stability and normalcy for my children amidst the chaos. I was seething with anger, imagining what I would have done if I had a weapon in hand at that moment. Standing at the door, I felt a surge of rage that could have easily landed me in prison. My only hope now is that my children will grow up unaffected by this turmoil, that it won't imprint any negativity on them. The ordeal didn't end there. I was compelled to pay my ex-wife for a whole year, a bitter pill to swallow. Fighting against paying child support was another battle I had to wage. And to add insult to injury, I had to foot the bill for her lawyer. It felt utterly absurd. The judge's rationale floored me. "Well, Mr. Smith, you initiated the divorce, so you should foot the bill," he said. It was as though my desire for divorce justified me paying for her legal representation. The injustice of it all was staggering. During the divorce proceedings, evidence of my wife's infidelity was laid bare. She knew, the judge knew, everyone knew. Yet, somehow, the judge still sided with her. It was as though my status as the one seeking divorce automatically made me the guilty party, regardless of the circumstances. This experience has made me wary of the future. In today's climate, where entrepreneurship and autonomy are glorified, I fear a trend where licensed professionals, particularly women, dominate the legal landscape. Just imagine if most divorce judges were women. I'm not advocating for male judges to be biased in favor of men, but I do believe in fairness. Men tend to approach situations with logic, which can sometimes be lacking in emotionally charged cases like divorce. It's a constant struggle when my ex-wife calls, claiming the kids are hungry and there's no food. Despite the animosity between us, I can't bear the thought of my children going hungry. So, I rush out to buy groceries, ensuring they're provided for. But it stings knowing that she shirks her parental responsibilities while I shoulder the burden alone. This was meant to be a 50-50 arrangement, but it's far from equitable. So, to those watching, I say this: be vigilant. In a world where justice isn't always blind, where biases can cloud judgment, it's essential to fight for fairness. And until we achieve that, the battle continues. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, and subscribe if you found this video insightful. Until next time, take care.